So we move to Brett turn 3. Um, okay, so the unit that, if you look in the lower right-hand corner, one thing that I forgot had happened was that unit, not only did it flee from his charge, but then it got hit with his magic phase, and so they're down to like 4 guys. So they can only rally on a double 1. So that's on the lower right-hand side. I take my halberd men-at-arms that were they were my leftmost unit, but they could see the halberdier combat. So I decided just to declare a charge there, and that way I had a much better charge of breaking that unit and just being done with it, and then I could just reform. So if I break them, they're going to run away from the men-at-arms. My Pegasus Knights are in the flank, so what I'm going to do is just pursue with my Pegasus Knights, and everybody else is just going to reform and be ready to take whatever charges he has coming. So there's a closer look at that. I need one more Pegasus Knight. I've got a Empire Griffin or Hippogriff or whatever. So I need to get rid of that. Anyway, Pegasus Knights come back on the board, and there's really, I fly way over here. I can only fly 10 inches, I guess, when I come back on the board. And I couldn't get away from a charge, and so I just tried to back up as much as possible so that his chances of charging me were slight. So the Prophetess has a wound. I think she miscast on something. I forget. It's tough to remember all the spells, but if you see the marker on the far left side, that means they're buffed somehow, some way. And so I need to start marking those. I'm pretty sure that they got the +2 toughness from the Lore of Life, and if it's not that, that means my Lore of Beast gave them the +1 strength, +1 toughness. So either way, whatever it is, I don't know. So predictably, I broke them in combat. My Pegasus Knights ran them down, and everybody else reformed to face the inevitable charges coming this way. And that's really about as well as I could have hoped for, because I think my men-at-arms can stand up to a charge by his knights. My Questy Knights are not set up to do a flank charge on them, so that's not ideal, but at least I'm not getting countercharged by his knights into my knights. So Empire turn 4, you can see his knights do charge my men-at-arms. His infantry there at the top, I don't know if they tried to charge and failed or if they just moved over. I just don't know. He's got a lone model there in the middle of the table. That's part of a detachment that got shot up by my archers last turn, and his other detachment's coming over. So he doesn't move a whole lot over here. He made a mistake that he mentioned, in that he should have turned his crossbows around, because what I'm going to do on my turn, I'm certainly not going to charge his spearmen, and I probably could charge that mortar, and that may have been a better way to go. But anyway, what I did was I charged his crossbows in the rear. So I thought it'd just be easy points. And another thing to keep in mind too is, at this point, we'd been playing a long time, and he said he needed to go after turn 5. So some of the decisions we made here were knowing that it was going to be a turn 5, 5-turn only game. So anyway, this is knights charging into my buffed up men-at-arms, and I'm pretty sure now that that was a +2 toughness. So that was one thing I was relying on, is instead of toughness 3, I was going to be toughness 5. His guys are going to be strength 6 though, so all that means is instead of wounding on 2s, he'll be wounding on 3s. So not as ideal as I would have liked. He got some shooting on my Pegasus Knights, but they hold. Shooting on the Trebuchet, they're down to 2 wounds. Picking on these Questy Knights, they lose some more. Gets that Trebuchet down to 1 guy, or 1 wound. And he killed quite a few of these men-at-arms. And so the problem with that is, it looks like on my turn, there's a good chance I'm not going to have Stubborn anymore with that unit. So yeah, he did a good job wounding me, but he puts an Arch-Elector in there, so they get hatred, get to reroll strength 6, reroll hits on a strength 6. So they're it's a good build. So Brett turn 4. What I decided to do is charge my Paladin out of that Questy Knight unit, because again, the Questy Knights weren't going to be able to get a flank charge, and I didn't want to have them sitting there corner to corner. If I get the Paladin in there, he's stubborn. So if my opponent breaks me in combat, my Paladin's likely to stay, and that'll keep him from pursuing everything else. I get my General in there. He's got a bunch of attacks, and he's got Killing Blow. So, my hope was to get in there and Killing Blow his Battle Standard Bearer, or really anybody, and just, negate their armor saves and all that. And he has the Heartwood Lance, so anytime he doesn't wound, he gets to re-roll that roll. So, charge my Battle Standard Bearer into his detachment, just because I think they're not going to hurt me, and I'll eventually kill them, and it keeps them from doing things I don't want, like stopping my Questy Knights. The Questy Knights reform into the lance formation just to make them a little more mobile, but I couldn't really move and get ready for a flank charge because my battle standard bearer is in the way because his detachment was in the way. So there's a closer look at what's going on there. And these guys needed double ones to rally, and they rolled double ones. So this is a 220 point unit, 35 men-at-arms, been completely annihilated, and now I'm going to get full points for him because he didn't kill him to a man. So that's one of the new rules I just really don't like. So I charge his crossbowmen in the rear with my Pegasus Knights. Oh man, looking at this, see, I didn't notice this then. I really wish I would have charged this mortar, because then I could have overrun into just everything. Characters, other war machines, and every time I broke something, everybody else would have to take a panic test. But I didn't, so whatever. Chargers charge out of the woods just to take care of that detachment. Those guys are just worthless. Every time I shoot anything, I rarely get any wounds. So I'm not sure how happy I am with how my archers seem to be playing lately. So one last look, and then here he didn't kill nearly as many men-at-arms. I'm not sure why that is, but he won combat, and my general, the men-at-arms stuck, the general ran. Oh, the shame. How embarrassing. But the paladin stuck, men-at-arms stuck, so he's going to get a flank charge on his turn with that infantry unit just to the left. And so I was hoping my general would stay. That way when they're in there, my general, they can only direct their attacks at my general, and he can withstand some abuse. My initial plan was to have my general issue a challenge, and that way if he flank charged me with that infantry, they wouldn't be able to do anything in the battle. But then, for whatever reason, I issued a challenge with my paladin instead. Yeah, so whatever. Okay, so Empire turn 5, he flank charges with the small unit of halberdiers. If you notice the archers I charged on my turn, I killed 2 of them. Those guys are just, they're so weak. Paladin, battle standard bearer, still locked up with the other detachment. Otherwise, you can see everything going on. Yeah, so I killed his crossbowman and overran, and so he turned his swordsmen again are just kind of trying to chase down my Pegasus Knights, which is kind of a futile effort. But the problem with my approach was now that I killed the crossbowman, there's really nothing for my guys to do. Where if I'd gone after that mortar, I could have got some more charges, maybe even forced some more panic tests and all that kind of stuff. He directed a slew of shooting at her, and she got a 4-up lookout sir roll from the Questy Knights, which helped, but still, she got crazy lucky making ward saves, and so it ended up only taking 2 wounds, which was really just unreal dice rolling. Really, she should be dead. He was really picking on her. So this trebuchet finally dies. The archer combat, I do 2 more wounds. These guys just suck in combat. Okay, so at the end of Empire 5, look at the Questy Knights. They're totally shot, and a lot of that was the big template landed on them and on her, but they got the lookout sir roll from her, so they just took a ton of abuse. Battle standard bearer finally killed that detachment. My men-at-arms broke, and they're down to the champion, and he fled through the paladin, so he got another charge with his halberds into the paladin, but the paladin's stubborn with a reroll. So that lone champion, this is interesting now, because a lone champion, it's going to take double ones for him to rally. But if he's fleeing at the end of the game, that doesn't matter under the new rules. So it's Empire turn 5. On my turn, it doesn't matter if he rallies or not. He's not going to go off the board. I'm going to get full points for that unit because I have 1 champion left, and he's almost impossible to rally him, but he's not having run off the board. So yay for me points-wise, but that rule just doesn't make any sense at all. So last turn of the game, I go ahead and charge my Pegasus Knights into the rear of that detachment because my archers are apparently unable to beat a detachment in combat. I go ahead and charge my Questy Knights into the flank of his knight unit. My plan was in Magic to regrow 1 or 2 of them and maybe get a buff on them and just see if I could get lucky there. He's got a standard, a battle standard, and the war banner. So and he's got a flank and 1 rank with his halberd. So it's going to be tough to beat him, but it's all for fun. But in the Magic phase, I was unable to get anything off on them, and then they fluffed all their attacks. So that was a stalemate. That's before combat. Obviously, I beat those guys. Champion doesn't rally, of course, but I still get full points. General rallies, thank goodness. And so the detachment's dead. and really everything else just stays the way it was. So, real bloody game. What's interesting, though, is when it came down to scoring it, the only thing I lost were the points for 2 trebuchets. For all the blood spilled, my questing knights are almost gone, both my big men-at-arms units are almost dead. I have wounds all over the place with characters. My Pegasus Knights are down to half wounds if you look at the top. And it doesn't matter. I get full points for everything. The only thing I lost was 180 points in trebuchets. So it was a win for me. I think I killed 550-ish of his, and he killed 180 of mine. So fun game. This is the way I think Warhammer is meant to be played, with the exception of I think template weapons are, again, a little too overpowered. But the victory points thing is just weird. So, anyway, that was game 2. Hope you enjoyed it.